Hello, classmates. My name is Gordon Eaton, and this is my PowerPoint presentation called the Interpersonal Theory, aka Relationship. And I'm going to explain to you guys through the whole slide. This here is my relationship or friendship. Back in 8th grade, I met this kid named David. He was one of my science class. I spoke to him, I said hi to him, and we don't ever talk that much. It's because we just met, and as we just met, there things were different as far as the years passed on. David doesn't live next door to me or nearby me because he lives in a father's location that I don't know where he lives, but we still go to the same school together. And as we as we graduated in 8th grade from middle school, starting in high school, we still had the same school together. And during lunch, I had my other friend named Rex. He's he's a good friend of mine as well. We both chat each other during lunch every day, daily, until David decided to join us with a conversation because I thought the trio would be a nice, fantastic conversation than doubles, two people just chatting each other. However, since we graduated in high school, things were a separation. I chose Napa Valley College while David chose Solano College. And since we don't see each other every day like we usually do and run into each other in high school, we don't talk as much than before. But however, we do text in a while, and I still consider him as a friend. But our relationship is still not how it used to be, unfortunately. And that's how life is. When friends have a chose a different location in school, it it happens. It depends on which friends that go to the same school you choose, that I chose, or they chose differently than what I chose. But we're still used to it nonetheless. Here I have a connection with him. Ever since we started 12th grade in high school, I connected with David from one time, and during history class, which it was our first period, we searched up images about the World War II, and not just World War II, but also leaked footages of aliens and planets, and and I believe other kinds of footages that we don't see before. We also talked about video games, which is Mario, Pokemon, and Smash Bros. He he do play with them as well as for me. We also discussed more recently about um, let's see, recently we just discussed about I believe it was this past February that him and Rex decided to go in Vegas because I just for me I just need to focus more on the schoolwork than going to Vegas with them. But we that's the only recent part that I that's met in the past. He also did mention about the him joining the military, and he had his body is muscle weight. He's been working out like daily, and especially exercising by daily, and because it shocked me that one of his arms were cracked, or farther cracked, but it was very shocking to me, um, surprisingly. But for me, I have a simple life compared to his, because mine is just drawing characters, playing video games, watching videos, and taking care of my nephews as much as I do. And even though we don't see each other as often, we still stay connected through text messages because we've been using our phones to text each other whenever we're in the mood for, as if we don't have anything busy to do. So between me and David, we're on the positive side towards our behaviors, and affirming to this relationship, it's better to spend each other's conversation about how we share our thoughts and whatnot. And with we have three stages that affects our relationship. So one is experimenting, interrogating, and differentiating. However you pronounce it, but starting with experimenting. So David and I exchanged our ways throughout our years, trying to communicate. Like we're having a small talk, having some like a conversations and leading to other uh, talk about how our hobbies. It and I find it kind of bothering because I wish we could have a long talk conversation. Excuse me. Um, about our hobbies and stuff whatnot. Interrogating. So our identity and personalities have merged, meaning that we have our separation of balance with our needs to socialization. So like we socialize with our identities and personalities, which I I uh I personally have have a new feeling that him and I need to socialize a lot more, like FaceTiming and running to each other if we ever see each other again to talk even more. And finally, our differentiating, which is one our coming apart. We um we have our differences because excuse me we barely have anything in common. Well, we don't know for sure because the both of us have are having a difficult time talking about our past, our present, and future. And so far, we haven't found anything that's coming to us, which is another reason why we have a separation ever since we moved to college. And as it's more coming together than coming apart, it still sometimes it still bothers me ever since we moved to a different college. It just doesn't feel right or feel the same. David has some plan. David has some plans going on in his spare time, or probably busy. But I never got a chance to chat with him. It's because, for one, both of us are separated, different college locations, and having a lot of work ahead of us. That we have our own goals to worry about. So as far as we able to finish everything, it depends on our mood. So socializing to communicate or whatnot, it just have our feeling. It's just dependable. who knows if we ever have time to do our chatting in phones. And lastly, for my self disclosure, so David and I share our personal thoughts, but they're different from between us. So we always had our own experiences, how our future is gonna bring ahead of us, and discuss what's currently going on in our lives. And this type of friendship is more associative, meaning that we we could have done better. We could have just cooperate more. Instead, it became and ended up with a lack of friendship, which got us nowhere. I I have no idea why it's happening to us, but it happens. But although there are times where have when a friendship was less maintained, it it was more or less maintained as far as I could consider that as a friendship. I could have reached out to David a little bit more, and so as David, he also could have done the same thing too. Even though the friendship is somewhat suffered, we still have lots of memories that'll keep our friendship alive. So our friendship is has been alive ever since, and I still consider them as a friend no matter what. And I personally liked David as a friend more. It's and not just David, but there are other friends like Rex and other friends I know that I have yet to meet with. It's it's better to mm, it's better to practice a lot with our conversations. And I wish we would have had the mood to do that. We could have at least talked more and more, uh, discovering what we have planned for us. I would personally wish we go back in time and find each other to hang out more. And I could bring along Rex with it because we're more of a trio than just double. But and it's one of the reasons why we have self disclosure that our memories has been falling a little. It was a meh, and yeah, that's fine enough. And that's all I can think of so far. Here I have a works cited. It is from just a chapter I chose. I chose that because it it has lots of bold words in them. It helps me to search out where I can add the slice in. But yeah, and that'll be the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening and have a great day.